Hello, I'm here with guitar virtuoso Rick Stone. Rick, thanks for doing the show.
Thanks for having me, Bob.
You sound wonderful. Top-notch, and virtuoso is really a word coming from my heart. Tell me about when you started to play the guitar.
Well, you know, I started when I was about 9 years old. This is back in the 60s, and the Beatles had just come out, I think, or right around that same time. But actually, I started not because of that, but because one of my friends across the street played guitar, and his parents bought him a Gretsch anniversary model and a Gibson Falcon amp, and I just thought that was the coolest thing. And I was at his birthday party, and his mom had him play something for us. And I went home and I told my parents, I says, you know, Mitch has a guitar, and I says, I want to do that.
And is Mitch playing today?
You know, I haven't talked to him in a number of years, but he was on and off playing, and you know, he was always a very good player out in Ohio. He played, and I know he was into bluegrass and stuff.
Really?
But I haven't kept in touch with him in the last, you know, maybe 10 years or so.
Okay. Did you have formal instruction?
Oh yeah, that was the deal. My parents sent me to the corner music store for lessons, Heights Academy of Music, and I studied with a guy named Dick Lee, and then later with a guy named Elwood Palmer. And they took me through back then it was the Sam Fox method, and then the Mel Bay books, and I learned to read and everything. And I remember they used to make me keep a little sheet in the back of my book, and I had to write down every day how many minutes I practiced. And the deal with them was that they wouldn't buy me an electric guitar until I was practicing every day, like for at least a half hour. I think I had to do that for about a year before they actually. I had this horrible rental guitar, like a Harmony Stella or something, that I played until they. And then when I proved to them that I was really serious, then they got me an electric.
And what were you, 30 at that time?
Right. No, I was about 10. You know.
About 10. Okay. Now, are they alive, your parents?
Well, my mom is still alive.
Okay, so she must be very proud of you.
Yeah,
it paid off.
We're very close. We still talk a lot. My dad, when in the early days, I don't think they didn't think it was a serious thing to pursue music as a, performer, as a career, but.
Well, nobody does. Today they don't, so.
But later on it worked out.
So how did you get to this level where you are, being a professional, top-notch New York City guitarist?
Oh man, lots of practice, and you just have to be very determined in what you're going to do. I think from the time I started playing, I knew I wanted to be a musician. And we're talking, 9 or 10 years old. I don't think that many people know, like at 9 or 10 years old, what they want to do, but I pretty much knew. Although I didn't really understand at that age what that entailed, I mean, I just saw rock musicians rock stars on television, and to me that was what being a professional musician was. I didn't really know the whole thing. When I went to college, I studied with a guy named Dr. Joseph Howard out in Cleveland at Tri-C, Cuyahoga Community College. And he was an excellent musician and a very inspiring teacher. And that really turned me around, because up to college, I didn't really, outside of, my private lessons and playing in bands with friends, I really didn't get much instruction in school. There really wasn't much guitar included in school music programs. And I found Joe Howard to be very inspiring, and that kind of got me thinking about teaching as well. So I think ever since then, I've kind of had the vision of having a dual career, as I do today. I teach in the Jazzmobile program. I teach at Hofstra University. I have students that come to my house. I have some students at City College, the Brooklyn Conservatory of Music. So I'm teaching at about 4 different places.
Wow.
And then I play. The last 3 years I had a 6-night-a-week job playing with an old-time clarinetist, a swing clarinetist named Saul Yagid. We worked the same restaurant every week for pretty much 3 years. That was pretty unusual for New York to have a gig that lasts that long.
And anywhere. Boy, you can really get your chops in shape, can't you, at that point?
Well, it's a trade-off. We were talking about that. Sometimes, when you're playing every night like that, you actually lose your chops because you don't have as much time to practice. It's really trying to keep a balance of those two things, because if you're playing 4 hours a night, you still need to find 4 hours during the day to practice. And if you're teaching and everything else, that can be kind of difficult. Well, you can, but it's just you have to be consciously aware of doing that all the time. I would practice on the breaks. I would not put the guitar down from the time I went in there. If I got there 15 minutes early, I'd practice for 15 minutes. We'd play a 45-minute set. I'd go in the back and practice for 15 more minutes and come back and play another set. And I just did that all night. Well, it shows.
It really does. Was that only a duo?
No, actually, it started out as a trio with a bassist named Bob Arkin. His brother's actually a famous actor. His brother's Alan Arkin.
Oh, sure.
And Bob was the bassist. Bob's a funny guy too. He has some funny stories. He played like in the '60s. He played with Arlo Guthrie. He was on the road with Arlo, and told me he played with Tiny Tim, all kinds of people.
Sure.
And then later on, we had a trombonist joined us for about the last 2 years of it, a lady named Britta Langston, an excellent trombonist. So it was
in place of the bass player.
no.
In
It was
addition?
then it was 4 pieces. It was guitar, clarinet, trombone, guitar, and bass. And then there were some other sitters in who would come frequently. There was a trumpeter named Harvey Abrams who came once a week. Harvey had a day job, so he would come once a week. He's a good friend of Saul's. And another Harvey, LeBeau.